You remember when cartoons were just innocent? They were bright, colored Saturday morning entertainment activities that truly just took the edge off as a child. The best way for me to describe it. Well, I certainly do. And if you couldn't tell from my recent uploads, it's apparent. I genuinely enjoy watching cartoons, and here's why. It was pretty much said from the beginning of time, well, at least the beginning of animation, that animation's for kids. You make cartoons for children's entertainment, right? And animation was never really taken seriously. Animation shows that grew popular tend to be the Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob. You had Ed, and Eddie. You had different shows, Scooby Doo. You had all of these different things that were mainly used for young teen to child entertainment. And it wasn't until shows like Regular Show and Adventure Time and bojack Horseman, as well as several others, that truly allowed us to get into realizing that cartoons no longer are trying to teach us something. They are reflecting our own personal lives, right? When streaming platforms became a thing, right, the rules pretty much got changed overnight. When you had things released like HBO Max and Netflix and Hulu, these were things that started as a website. And if you know the internet, pretty much anything can be posted, and as long as you're of age, most of the time they don't even check, you can access this content, right? If I logged into Netflix right now, I could watch bojack Horseman, and I could watch him go through quite literally a depressed alcoholic's life. Day by day, night by night, I could watch it all happen, and I have. It's right there. It's for the taking. It's in the open. It's a deer with a 12 point standing in the middle of a cornfield for those who might be country. It stands to say that animation typically says something that live action stuff cannot nowadays. Right? With Invincible, it's a great example of morality and parental pressure, right? The idea of Invincible so far is Omni-Man was sent. Well, hold on. Spoiler alert. Omni-Man was sent down to planet Earth to conquer it, to become its ruler, to get it to join the Viltrumite Empire or die. That was his entire goal. He began raising a family, which was frowned upon in the Viltrumite Empire, and he had a son. The son was half Viltrumite. This entire time, Omni-Man's waiting for his son to gain Viltrumite powers, and when he finally does, eventually, Omni-Man is like, yo, here's the deal. I come here to conquer. Conquer and rule. Well, Invincible doesn't like that. Short comes to long, long comes to short. You got the Conquest fight. You got the Omni-Man fight. You got Alan the Alien. You got a bunch of things happening, and you should definitely watch the show if you've not. If you see my banner, The Kevin Show, it's inspired by Invincible. It's one of my favorite adult animations, pretty much of all time. It follows crazy things, which kind of gives me an open door to my next point. Animation isn't a genre to me. Like a lot of times on Hulu and Netflix and HBO Max, animation is something that gets categorized, right? You have adult animation, you have child animation, you have things of that nature, teen animation. And I don't think it's a genre necessarily. To me, animation is a medium. I say animation is a way to express yourself. Smiling Friends, if you've never seen it, be prepared for one of the most wild rides you've ever been a part of. It quite literally explores almost every idea down to the T, and it is probably one of the weirder things. It reminds me a lot like Uncle Grandpa if you remember that cartoon from back in the day, but for adults. And the animation style is insane. I was watching something earlier today how one of the newer episodes for the season that just started, short little shameless plug there, used rotoscoping. And quick little side note here, rotoscoping is one of the most impressive forms of animation, period. Right? So what rotoscoping is let's say that this camera, the video I'm recording, somebody wanted to animate this. If they wanted to rotoscope this video, they would take this video frame by frame and draw me on top of it, or draw an animation on top of it, or quite literally whatever they wanted, but they would use my movements as the animation, right? They would just draw over top of me, frame by frame. It takes a very long time and is very impressive when done really well. And Smiling Friends in the new episode does a seamless transition. Like, I mean, it goes from their standard animation style straight into rotoscoping, and you almost don't even notice it, and you're just going to think it's cool. But if you watch it, now you know it's rotoscoping. So yeah, back to Smiling Friends. It is one of the shows that kind of convinces me that animation is also freedom, right? It's a pen and paper at the end of the day. You start with a storyboard of what you want to animate, right? One of my favorite videos of YouTube is the very first episode of Regular Show was storyboarded and YouTubed, I guess, to record it so that he could present it. And it is probably one of the most entertaining videos on YouTube, period. It is probably going to be linked down below if I can find it. I believe it's still on. It should be still on. I don't know why it wouldn't. But if you see it down below, feel free to watch. It's a great watch. It's not too long either. So if you've seen the first episode of Regular Show, it also helps. And Regular Show is kind of the next idea I have to break down here. Let me get back to storyboarding, but stick a pin in Regular Show. Storyboarding is quite literally how you design your cartoon, right? More times than not, it starts with frame A1, and it can run all the way to frame Z9, Z9. You know, however you want to categorize it, go ahead. But it is a long process, depending on how long you want your animation, right? And when I watched the storyboard for Regular Show, right? Regular Show is kind of the first show that started to, when I rewatched it recently, reflect a lot of my early 20s. And, you know, I've got to be very careful there because no, I did not meet 5 ducks who could transform into the Megazord, and I didn't transport a bunch of things to the moon, and I didn't learn Kung Fu while wearing jean shorts and a mullet. While all of those things could be awesome, it kind of teaches me an idea that your actions, you're very much so responsible at all times. And you've got to be very thorough with the thought you put behind things. And to me, while it kind of reflects my life with one of my best friends, right, I'm pretty sure you've always pictured, if you've ever seen Regular Show, yourself as either Mordecai or Rigby, and your best friend as the other. I can almost promise it. Because they have such a fluid dynamic to the point where you almost don't want to ever stop watching, right? It's 8 seasons long, and it's such a great ride. Actually, I think it might be longer. I'm not sure. But it's such a great ride the entire time. All the way up until the evil Pops and Pops battle. Like, that episode's crazy to me. I heard they're coming out with new, like, Regular Show 25 years later, and I'm super excited for that. I cannot wait, and that's something that I have put on my bucket list for sure. But, yes, Regular Show is the first idea to me that really expressed, you know, life in a way. It kind of fueled that video, you know, that you've always wanted to watch but can never find because live action just kind of can't do it. It always kind of fueled that idea that I mentioned earlier with freedom, right? He was free to quite literally do whatever he wanted. You know, beep boop, beep boop, beep boop, boop, beep boop, boop. You know, like there is no reason for that song to still be stuck in my head. You know, it's such an iconic scene, and it kind of also teaches you to be carefree. It has the freedom to be what it wants, and it doesn't care. It's regular show, and nothing about it is regular. And I don't honestly have any more thoughts. That was kind of everything I had on animation. You know, is animation for kids? I'd say yes. You know, some of the older animations. Watch early episodes of SpongeBob, early episodes of The Fairly Odd Parents. You can watch all the Fairly Odd Parents if you want to, but once Poof disappears in like season 10, once the dog appears, it's over. Like it's not good anymore in my opinion, but that's just me. And then if you want to watch some more kind of serious animations, watch Regular Show or Adventure Time. You'll definitely have some takeaways from those shows. And if you really want to get into the deep end, you can watch BoJack Horseman and Invincible. BoJack Horseman is a wild ride from start to finish, and Invincible is quite literally one of the greatest animated shows that I've ever seen in my life. But it contains quite a bit of adult themes, so if you're under 18, I do not advise anyone watching it. It's very, very mature rated. It's fun though. It's a good video. It's a good show. But yeah, tell me what you think. Tell me your thoughts on this. Do you think animation is for kids' entertainment, or especially, how do you feel about it nowadays? Because in my head, maybe animation was never just for kids. Maybe we just had to grow up to see it in a different light. With that, you guys have a wonderful night. Thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, please like, subscribe, comment down below. And I'll see you in the next episode of The Kevin Show. Deuces. Next episode of The Kevin Show. Deuces.